Let's go to New Delhi and speak to Aftab Kamal Pasha, Professor of Middle East Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University. Professor, thank you so much for your time. Benjamin Netanyahu says that getting rid of Hamas leaders in Doha is the best way to end the war and secure the release of the remaining hostages. Others say it's a perfect example of Netanyahu not wanting peace. How do you see it?
Yes, you see, Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has been declared by the ICC as a war criminal along with his former defense minister, has been claiming since the onset of this Gaza genocide that he will eliminate Hamas leadership either in Gaza or anywhere else. So he has assassinated in Lebanon, in Iran and other places. He tried very hard in Qatar. This shows his one-point agenda, which he has not been able to achieve. You know, he believes that decapitation attacks like Nasrallah and others will weaken Hamas. It is contrary to his expectation because it is a movement. It is a revolutionary national liberation movement. Every Palestinian in or most Palestinians in Gaza support what Hamas is doing. That is upholding the honor of the Palestinians in Gaza, safeguarding their territory, their honor, their self-esteem, so on and so forth. So any amount of rhetoric by Netanyahu is not going to achieve any of his goals so far. He has only been able to kill few leaders. But there are many more second and third tier leaders who will take over, right from Sheikh Yassin, who has been targeted, right up to Yahya Sinwar and Ismail Haniya. So his attack was in Qatar, was basically to sabotage the ceasefire negotiations which Qatar is aiming, along with other partners like Egypt and the United States. And it shows a scant disregard for not only the United States, but also Qatari sovereignty, because Qatar has been financially supporting the Gaza reconstruction, and also Netanyahu is involved in that so-called Qatar Gate financial scandal.
Yeah,
So
some people, Professor, we're going to run out of time, but that point about some people close to Netanyahu being implicated in Qatar Gate could also be significant. But what about the issue of Benjamin Netanyahu himself and what his orders to attack Doha mean for Qatar? Because many political analysts like yourself, Professor, they call Benjamin Netanyahu a liar. Many political statements don't contain such harsh judgments. But can Doha trust Netanyahu anymore?
Not at all, because you see, the Israeli leadership, other than Netanyahu, has been openly accusing Qatar of funding terrorism, of Hamas, and they have called for action against Qatar many times. And you see, it is not only the credibility of Qatar as a U.S. ally has been shaken because of this trust gap, but also other Gulf countries are also shaken. You know, any amount of financial investment and security investment and Abraham Accords, all that is now being questioned, apart from the genocide, which is inflaming the passions of the Arab people, especially in the Gulf. Now, what they are feeling is what Iran did is the right thing, not to believe Israel, not to believe America, to rely on their own capability. So in that way, it is a plus mark for Iran, and it has raised doubts about the U.S. security guarantees, not only to Qatar, which has the largest central command base. They knew every missile, every fighter jets which are entering Qatari airspace. They could have alerted and prevented also. The fact that nothing was done and it was allowed to attack, imagine if many more people had been killed other than the Hamas leaders. You know, if Qatari officials also who were involved in the negotiation, it would have shaken the Qatar leadership and widened the gap between the people and the rulers. Already the inflamed passions are creating problems for the Gulf rulers who are seen as dependent on the United States, on the pressure of Israel. So in that way, the credibility of these rulers and their dependence on the Americans will shake to the foundation, because no more Abraham Accord normalization can be proposed or carried forward even by Saudi Arabia and other countries who are probably willing to under American pressure. So in that way, it is a double-edged weapon. On the one hand, Qatar has lost interest in the peace negotiations, ceasefire negotiation, and on the other, any amount of statements by the United States will not erase the fact that whatever Qatar has done to host the Central Command, and whether it is gifting a 400 million worth plane to Trump or 1 trillion plus investment, this is seen as nothing to guarantee the safety and security of the regimes there, which are not very democratic. You see, in that way, the people's anger, as it is aroused by the genocide in Gaza, now attacking a peacemaker, mediator, will further widen the credibility of the rulers who are seen as dependent and puppets.
Professor Pasha, we're going to have to leave it there. Really, really appreciate the analysis, sir. Thank you so much.